悪くない芽が出たわ。今日も引き続きサボりましょう。調子が良くなってから仕事を一気に終わらせるわよ。この研究は確かに将来性がありますね。そこは冒険者たちが活躍するのにぴったりな場所だと思いますね。
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to do that at some point too. I'm not as restricted. Supposedly this one, supposedly this quest is actually pretty involved. Actually, wait, oh shit, what's my, okay, I gotta spend this a little bit. But yeah, supposedly when I was accepting Durin's quest, or no, is it when I was accepting it, or was it on here? I think it was on here, right? Yeah, you only need 5 calendar days to do this. Now, I think that's stupid. Like, I understand the concept where it's like, oh, okay, we want time to pass, like, between quests. Like, yeah, sure, like, Durin's quest takes place over 5 days, or over, like, multiple weeks and stuff, so we want to enforce a camera, or, not camera, we want to enforce or something like that. I'm like, that's dumb. Just don't, stop that. Like, don't do that. Like, don't tie real time into shit like that. Because, like, the problem with something like that, let's see, I need money. I don't really, oh, well, whatever. Actually, I do need, actually, for 2 pieces. And so this is, might as well do this. I always kind of need money. Even though I think I have 3 million at the moment, but the second I start, like, upgrading talents, 4 million now. The second I start upgrading talents, I'm gonna blast through that so quick. Yeah, see, like, this is definitely much better. Trying to use Nefer in a team not really designed to use Nefer. Trying to use Nefer in a if my friendship team was kind of rough, because it's all, you really need a lot of lunar blooms on. You need to be able to do it quickly, which just fine, but let's see. It goes like I was having a much harder time having this team definitely helps, and having a healer helps too. Because on my friendship team, I didn't have a healer, and that's what made it really rough. Because it was just like, yeah, you just can't heal at all. Because like my friendship team was more about like pushing damage, and so Raiden and Elan were fine for the most part for the longest time, but now kind of like their damage is kind of. Yeah, I think the reason why she does so well, I think with this, is because of those core. I think those cores help. So if so basically, I wasn't getting enough of the cores, her little deceit cores. Even then, that was kind of weak. I could have gotten more, but yeah, like look, she doesn't have full charges. Yeah, see, like, it definitely feels better on a team designed around her. But also, I'm like defeating enemies instantly. My problem before was that I just wasn't killing things quick enough. Is that all of them? Okay, that's all of them here. Is there, oh yeah, they pop up. I think that's also actually more for Tui, so I kind of want more. But yeah, in my friendship team, I just wasn't getting enough lunar blooms because like Yolan wasn't really doing it. Yolan doesn't actually really work well with Nefer because Yolan is triggered off of normal attacks, and you're basically holding her charge. You're basically doing the charge attack for every single one of her major attacks. Yeah, see, look at that. Now, like, there's a lot of things going into this as well. Like, it's also the fact that Llama is also triggering these lunar blooms with her normal attack, with her normal like deer attack, plus with her normal. When do I have my all out? Oh shit! Today's Sunday. I should have probably. Actually, I gotta use this real quick. I should have probably. Am I out of condensed? Yeah, I think I am. Shit. Wait, am I? Yeah, it would be on this tab, right? Oh, actually, wait, no, I can even look onto my. Yeah, I have 0. Okay. Um, but yeah, so Llama was also triggering lunar blooms, which was doing a fuckload of damage too. But having a healer is nice, you know, because that was the tough thing is on my friendship team. Like my friendship team was all about just doing fuckloads of damage, and like because it was like the only thing they ever would like do shit with would be overworld stuff, and most of the time it's just this team is just there to level the friendship of Durin and Yehuda, and then Raiden and Yelan would be there just to do damage, and they pair well together. But like they are kind of being power crept, so they're not doing as much damage as they could. So, but yeah, so I'll guess stay on this while I do Durin's quest for now. But yeah, so. But yeah, on the team, and that's the thing, because you notice I don't have any healers, because it was mostly Raiden and Yelan doing the damage in case I was going to do a ley line or something. And if the team members I need friendship for are not healers, then I have no healer. And that was the kind of rough thing, is that one, Raiden and Yelan don't really work well with Nefer. Nefer really works well with characters like Nilo or Furina, who can constantly apply water. And then Llama obviously works too, so she can get some lunar blooms off while Nefer's mid-attack and shit like that, so she can keep the Nefer's thing charged up. So in a team like that, designed to complement her, it works very well. The problem, of course, is you need a team that can complement them, which is like not the hardest thing in the world to do, but also kind of annoying when I was just there for friendship. And like, yeah, I could easily just, do this team basically and level her up that way, but fuck. Oh, that's kind of cool. They give you Astrals to review it. Yeah. Oh, does it tell us? Oh yeah, it is M. Okay, there is an M. Okay, I was kind of confused. Well, not really confused. I could have sworn there was an M, but it's hard for me. Oh wait, one sec. But yeah, so as I was saying, where's my phone? Oh, there it is. But yeah, so I could have sworn I was like, oh wait a minute, like it was M, right? And then for some reason I was thinking, oh, M is Mona's master because M for Mona, right? I obviously know that it's not the same name, but I'd forgotten what Mona's master was called, what her abbreviation was, because obviously A is Alice, and we know now N is Nicole, but there's N and M, and so it's like shit. So in your mind, obviously, they sound so similar. I'm just like shit. Which one was it again? Uh, was there only an N? Was there both? Because like they don't pop up that frequently. But I was like, yeah, I could have sworn there was an N and M involved in the book world. And so yes, okay, cool. So M is the one who wrote this book, which is what I thought. But it's been a while since. It's been like was this past summer's event, or was that the? I think it was this summer's event, right? I think. So yeah. So this was this summer's event. But yeah, because it was multiple mages involved. So I think it was N and M, and maybe even B for Barbeloff. I can't remember. I think it was at least two. It might have just been Alice and M, maybe. I forget. Either way, so okay, so we haven't met M then. And we haven't even met Barbeloff, but we at least know that Mona's met her and kind of know what she's like. I think this might have been our first introduction to M in general. With the story, I don't know if they'd have referenced it. It's possible it might have referenced it during the Freeze weekly boss, the chess set one, because it was the Hexen Circle. They mentioned the Hexen Circle, so they might have mentioned who all the mages were then. But again, it's referenced so infrequently, and they use just those pseudonyms, so it makes it kind of hard to tell. I'm like, wait a minute, what is this about again? Who is this again? So yeah, okay. Yeah. So this was a great event, and that's why like I see all the glazing done for like Wuthering Waves, and they're like, look how amazing this game is, and it's free. It's like, dude, all gacha games are free, you fucking idiots. It's like, and it's just like, Genshin is just a better game. The only aspect that Wuthering Waves beats Genshin is the combat. The combat is more, not really complex. I think it is. Well, it is a little more complex because you only have 3 party members, so each party member has to do more, essentially. But I think it's there's a higher skill cap for Wuthering Waves, right? So it feels more rewarding because the idea is that you're supposed to be able to dodge and parry every attack. So realistically, you could avoid everything, right? Whereas in Genshin, technically that's possible. You can iframe your dodge through stuff. You can use your bursts to iframe through an attack, right? So there is a level of skill involved, but the point is Genshin doesn't provide any real endgame challenges to test its combat. So a lot of the stuff is just purely like heal through it, shield through it, stuff like that. So you can kind of cheat. Like Nefer is animation lock, so having her without a healer will fuck you over, right? Because there's just going to be times where you're unable to attack without taking damage. So you have to be able to heal through it. Whereas Wuthering Waves is more about not healing, because it's more about just avoiding damage entirely. And that's why there are so few healers and shielders, because it's like, the point of this game is to dodge and to counter. That's it. You have to be skilled enough to do these things, or else you're not going to be able to do any of the challenges of the game. And it provides challenges for like where you can fight bosses at harder and harder difficulties, right? So that's the focus of that game. Wuthering Waves is focused on its combat, and it excels at its combat, and that's it. Everything else it does worse than Genshin. And so that's why when you see people like people in Wuthering Waves glazing it, be like, oh, they're like, oh, it looks so good, and it's like, I mean, it's looking better and better. Obviously, previously the 1.x patches, well, 1.0 really had the zones of 1.0 were just so depressing and sad. And they basically since then decided, you know what? Let's completely forget the setting of the world of, yeah, this is a world that's constantly being ravaged by these catastrophes. Let's completely forget that setting and just have all our characters just have all the rest of the worlds be perfectly nice. You know, Renacida had a portion that was kind of destroyed, but there was also a dragon who lived there, so it's like, oh, you could argue that the dragon caused that shit, and there were some ruins and stuff. But overall, most of Renacida was just like, yep, perfectly normal place. Everything looks in place. Everything, you know, everything is intact. And then now I saw the new world, and the place you're going to is like, so not only is there a school academy, so not only is everything doing so well that you can afford to have a school, but they also have a space station, and you're just like, so what happened to the 1.0 catastrophes that are constantly happening around, you know, places where there are a lot of people living? Like, it seems like you completely forgot that aspect of this world. And that's another reason why I think Wuthering Waves sucks story-wise, is because they just ignore their own settings. You know, it's like, why play their game? Like, why get invested in their story if they don't care about their world? Right? What's the point of caring about the world if they themselves don't care about it? Right? When it's just like, it's a bunch of people who like. I think it's one of those things where the people who like Wuthering Waves are kind of like the people who like Soulsborne games. So basically, they've already been trained not to care about story, right? It's the people who like Where Winds Meet, and you're like, yeah, Where Winds Meet. It's like, yeah, the combat's really good, but it seems like every other aspect of the game sucks. And that's why they were like, people complain about IGN's review. It's like, no, I think IGN's review is actually pretty fair, right? It's that they're rating the game as a whole. And they're going to rate the game on what it tries to do and how well it implements it, and then, you know, like, determine a score based on all those things. And the fact of the matter is that Where Winds Meet tried to do a lot of things, and the only thing it did well is its combat, but every other aspect performed, you know, average or slightly above average. So when you see like what IGN give it a 6, everyone's like, no, it's not a 6, it's much better than a 6. It's like, well, no. It's because you think it's better than a 6 because the only thing you actually work on, the only thing you actually try doing is the combat. The only thing you're playing the game for is combat. You're willfully ignoring all the other aspects that it doesn't do well because either A, you don't engage with that content, or B, you're just ignoring how bad it is, right? You're still doing it and doing it mindlessly, so you just be like, you know, I need to do this for power, so I like to increase my character's power, so I'm just going to quickly do it and then forget about it, right? Not critically thinking about it and be like, you know what? These things kind of suck. These things aren't really that great. And that's basically kind of how it was for me with Wuthering Waves. It was like, the story isn't as good as Genshin. Genshin actually has a consistent story. They know what they're trying to tell. They don't contradict their previous shit. They don't create a world. They don't go to a new zone and invalidate the world building they did from a previous zone, you know? They don't abandon the characters from that zone. Like how much do you want to bet that when Wuthering Waves moves into 3.0 and they go to that like school and shit like that, how much do you want to bet that you never see any character from 1.0 and 2.0 ever again? Like, maybe one or two characters will pop up during an event where they're like, oh, here's the event for this patch. We're going to go to this location, and one of the characters is going to appear. But it's like, dude, you introduce like 10 characters per zone, and you only ever meet like one or two of them ever again. Like, that's kind of shit, you know? Whereas like Genshin just like slaps Wuthering Waves in the face with the last patch, when Nefer was introduced, because the Sumeru patch, or the Sumeru event where we talked to Thoth, pretty much brought every single Sumerian character back. Like, we interacted with every single one with the exception of Nahida. Nahida was the only one who didn't pop up as part of that event. But every other character that hails from Sumeru appeared, you know? And this is a zone that was 2 or 3 years ago, or 3 years ago, I guess. So it's just like, it just goes to show you, it's like, damn, like, they keep the world consistent, they don't contradict themselves, They bring back characters during appropriate moments. You know, if they have an event, they have events back in older areas, and they bring back characters from those areas to participate in these events, and participate in the story. So it makes the world feel great. So I think Genshin storytelling and immersion is infinitely better than Wuthering Waves, and that's the problem. Is that like because like people look at the good things of Wuthering Waves and like ignore all the bad stuff, and they're like, "Oh, the music of Wuthering Waves is great." It's like, it's okay. I honestly can't even remember any of the music from Wuthering Waves. You know, like it's just such background music that you don't even like pay attention to it. And like the music of the first Stone was actually had a lot of really depressing, boring pieces. So it might have improved, you know. But even still, it's just like but Genshin just blows it out of the fucking water again. So it's just like you get these people who are just like, who just like one thing, and like, and that's the other thing too about the story. People think the story of Wuthering Waves is good. It's like, no, it's not. It's bad. You know, if you can't tie together the events, if you can't keep a consistent world, if you can't explain something that remains true for the rest of the story, then you're a shit storyteller. You know. And the problem is, well, not really the problem, but the thing they do well is they do these really interesting, cool, epic scenes, and you're like, wow, this is a really cool, epic scene. You know, look how cool this is. Look at all this fighting together to fight against the big bad. You know, and it's like, yeah, that scene's really cool, right? And that's fine. You know, like it's fine to have a really cool scene, but then like when you tie it together to all the other scenes with string, it's shit, right? Like the overall story is bad. Like they can do a good scene or two, but they can't tie it together. They're just really bad storytellers who can come up with really cool scenes. And that's basically like what Soulsborne shit is, right? Nothing in Soulsborne games really makes any sense. You know, most of the story's practically non-existent. But the thing is, they do these epic scenes where we're like, wow, this is such a cool scene. Like, oh my god, whoa, like. This seems really cool. It's the rule of cool, basically. It's like, yeah, this is a cool event. This is a cool scene. So please ignore all the other mediocre shit that existed for the rest of the game. Where it's like, yeah, please ignore the fact that there's practically no story. It's like, nah, but this seems cool, right? Like Elden Ring is a really good example. I have a really good example for that. It's like, okay, cool. So a lot of cool scenes. You know, we're going off. We're becoming the Elden Lord. Okay, so why does our character want to be the Elden Lord? Why does anyone want to be the Elden Lord, right? Like, the Elden Lord is nothing. The Elden Lord is basically the prince consort of the queen, right? The Elden Lord is basically the bitch boy of whoever actually has the outer will's power. So it's like, why do people want to be that? Like, I understand, sure, like being a prince consort is still good, right? But like, when it's not even really known what the Elden Lord does, you know, and the fact that the Elden Lord can't just be like Godfrey was just slapped to the side and be like, yeah, you're no longer Elden Lord, you know. So it's something that you can get and lose just as easily. Why does anyone want to be it, right? Like your motivation is completely unclear. Like you were killed, you were abandoned by the Erd Tree, and yet somehow when you're resurrected by it later, you're like, oh well, even though the Erd Tree fucked me over and I was banished because I lost its grace. Yeah, sure. When it tells me to come back, I'll come back like a simp. It's like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Like, why? Why do you want to become an Elden Lord? Why does anyone want to become like? What's the benefit of being Elden Lord? Like, what powers do you get? What abilities do you get? Like, no one knows this shit. They don't like the game never tells you anything. You don't really know anything about it. Like, it's like, yeah, sure, Godfrey became Elden Lord and he beat like a bunch of dragons, so presumably it makes you more powerful. But like, he was already a pretty powerful warrior in and of himself. So it's like, how much of that is him and how much of that is the Elden Lord power, right? Who the fuck knows? You know? Because he still beats the shit out of you when you're going to war. Like, basically, when you finally get to the Erd Tree to confront Marika, I don't think he's Elden Lord at that point. So he fights you in this two-phase fight without Elden Lord powers and still is pretty fucking strong. So it's like, you know. So it's like, yeah, why does anyone want to become Elden Lord? It's like, yeah, none of it makes any sense. It's all like completely stupid. But they do a few cool scenes and make the combat challenging, so people are like, oh well, I'm justified in liking this because because of that. So yeah, basically it's just like it's basically the exact same. Wuthering Waves is doing the exact same thing, where the story's mediocre, but because there's challenging combat and an epic scene or two here and there, right? People just think people just like lie to themselves and say, "No, this is good." It's like, yeah, because the epic scene stands out in your mind more, so you forget all the boring aspects of the game. You're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot the 5 hours of boring quests just to get this one scene. 5 hours of quests that make no sense, that contradict previous quests, that don't make sense with the world as they've set it up before. Yeah, who gives a shit? Because this one scene was cool and I've forgotten everything else about it." Yeah. And then basically, I think Genshin Exploration is more fun and more enjoyable. I never really liked Wuthering Waves stuff. Like, Wuthering Waves chest farming in 1.x areas was absolutely shit. Absolutely terrible. It was so bad that they even gave you a fucking loot finder right from the start and had to constantly improve it because of how much it sucked to do. It was like way too many chests that are not super easy to find, and such a convoluted world. It's like such a such a world designed in such a way that makes it really hard to find chests easily. So that you have to have a thing. It's like, dude, if you have to have a loot finder for your chests, then you fucked up to a degree, right? Like Genshin did have one, right? But that's for the completionists, right? If you don't have the compass, the Genshin compass, you can relatively easily still get most chests, right? Yeah, sure, you might miss a few, right? But generally, if you are wandering and exploring the world of Genshin, you will pretty much find all chests. Sumeru was a little weird. Sumeru had a lot of underground areas, which definitely makes it confusing. Same with desert and the forest areas. But generally, you didn't really need a compass. But it's like, and also it was something that they introduced. Actually, no, I guess they introduced later, right? So it's like, but yeah, so, and that's why since 2.0 they just changed that and we're like, okay, no, actually, here's each zone has a certain number of things to do, and your percentage of completion is based on doing those things, and you can track every single one of them. It's like, oh, okay. But then, like, the things you have to do are just boring. Like, the music flies, fucking boring as fuck. I like the little mirror things with the puzzle. Like, that was a puzzle. That was cool. The combat ones are, like, were either easy enough or just really annoying. Because it was like, oh, yeah, you have to do like well enough to not get screwed over. And then also, like, but then every now and then there'd be a challenge where it's like, oh, actually, wait a minute. This one isn't about killing the enemies. It's about doing these very specific set of actions, which will instantly, once you've completed all 3 actions, the game instantly is over. So you don't actually have to beat them. But anyway, yeah. Basically, exploration in Wuthering Waves just felt worse. Like, it just felt more tedious than anything. Because, like, I was playing both games, Genshin and Wuthering Waves, and it's like, Genshin, I actually enjoyed exploring, finding stuff. I think they found a perfect, like, kind of mix of things. And I never really felt it to be super tedious. Whereas Wuthering Waves, it's like, yeah, it just became a chore really quickly. Like, I understand, like, the 1.x areas were separate, right? I'm like, okay, cool, I 100% of them anyway, but I'm like, okay, whatever. So, but I treated 2.0 as its own thing. And even 2.0 exploration was still fucking tedious. It just felt so tedious. The events were just so boring. And again, tedious. Like, a lot of their events were just really tedious. I'm just like, God damn, it's like, and maybe because I'm not a huge combat fan, so it's like, yeah, a lot of their events obviously involve combat because that's what they focus on. So yes, there's that. Maybe I wouldn't like them naturally. But yeah, so. Anyway, so basically, yes, it's like you get these people glazing the game. I'm like, it's fine. Like, it's not a bad game, as I said. Like, I bitch and moan and all this shit about the things because I played the game. I wanted to like it, and like it's not like I hated combat that much, you know. But like, there are just so many little things about the game that I just did that rubbed me the wrong way that I just eventually like, you know what, I'm just done. Like the fact that they keep fucking up the story and keep like it's hard to get invested in the world and try to like pay attention to what's going on in the world and what's going on with the story when they just constantly contradict themselves, right? We're just like, wait a minute, why is this happening? Like this doesn't make sense. Like how does this zone exist when we're told that like the world's is under like when we dealt with the Black Shore shit, the Tethys system said, hey, yeah, there's been like 10,000 catastrophes in the last few years, or like not maybe the last few years, but maybe the last like in the last like millennia, there were like 10,000 of these catastrophes, and basically after 1.x is over, literally never mentioned again. It's like, yeah, every single zone we go into looks perfectly fine. It's like, yeah, so 10,000 catastrophes over the years. So, I mean, it's basically over 1,000 years. Like it's 10 a year, so almost one a month. I get it. It's over the entire world, right? So sure, it might not be in that zone specifically, but supposedly they target areas where a lot of humans congregate. So it's like, yeah, it's crazy how you have all these big cities and all this shit going on, and are perfectly fine not being hit by these catastrophes. You know, it's like, and not even mention them ever again. It's just like, come on, man. Like, you're just like ignoring the setting of your world. The time frame that you put a lot of these events makes no fucking sense. You know, I saw someone on Reddit saying, "Oh, Black Shores makes me feel so at home." I'm like, what? Black Shores makes you feel at home? Dude, you were gone for just 20 years and literally no one there remembers you. The only exception was Shorekeeper. And you barely interact with her. Like you were like, I'd understand if you hadn't been there, like because you like apparently live forever. So like I understand if you hadn't been here in like 100 years, sure. Like everyone who was at Black Shores before would be dead. No one would have remembered seeing you when they were a child, you know, and not paying attention. But no, you were there literally 20 years ago. And I'm like, because like up until that point, we were like, oh, okay, it's been a while, right? Like, sure, we are the owner of Black Shores. We are the leader of Black Shores. But no one remembers us. It's like, oh, okay, so we must have been gone for a long time then. It's like, oh, no, like, you've been gone for 20 years. I'm like, what? 20 years? How the fuck does no one remember us? Like, even if we barely went out, like, we had to have gotten food. People had to have helped us. It's like Shorekeeper did literally everything for us here. People would have had to interact with us. People would have remembered us, you know? And, like, people were even, like, unsure about the fact that there was a leader, right? And, like, sure, so it was like, what? How do you feel at home in that? When, like, no one remembered. The only people who remember you are, like, the characters. You know, Shorekeeper and Camellia, that's it. And, like, and Camellia even proves how fucking stupid it is, right? Because it's like, as I said, like, oh, well, maybe if we kept to ourselves or we're constantly busy, maybe we didn't interact with many people. But it's like, dude, we went out and saved Camellia. So it's like, okay, if we're going out and helping people, how the fuck does no one else remember us, right? If we saved Camellia, we would have had to bring her to the hospital. We brought her back to Black Shores. We would have had to introduce them to people. You know, how does no one remember us, right? So it's just like so fucking, it makes no fucking sense, right? And I understand what the point, like the reason why they made it 20 years is because they wanted to make sure that, like, actually, I don't even know, like 20 years makes no sense. Like, they really just need to be happy and accepting the fact that things can take longer periods of time, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, we own Jue. Jue was our guardian, so was the Sentinel, and it's like, yeah, it's fine to have Jinzo have been created hundreds of years ago, and we were there at the time and helped them and then fucked off. Because, like, that's how they made it seem, right? They made it seem like, oh, there was a legend of the person who could absorb, you know, who could absorb tacit discords. And it made it seem like, oh, it was a legend from a long, long time ago. But then it's like, but they constantly contradict, and it's like, oh, well, no, actually, that was recently. Like, oh, no, that happened just... It's like, dude, what? It's fine if you just make this happen hundreds of years ago. Like, the Black Tide and the Sentinels, like, why didn't you... Like, they made it seem like it happened 20 years ago again, another 20-year thing. It's like, why? It makes no fucking sense for the Order to be this powerful after only being in existence for 20 years, right? They sprung up into existence 20 years ago during the Black Tide. They sprung up into existence when the Black Tide happened, and now you're saying the Black Tide happened 20 years ago, and yet somehow the Order has a stranglehold on politics in Renacida, in Raguna. It's like, really? How the fuck does that make any sense? Like, it's a new fucking religion, a new fucking religious organization. It doesn't instantly become in power. It takes time to fucking build that power up. But it seemed like the second they came into existence, they had a stranglehold. Because even 10 years ago, when Cartithia was doing her shit, they were already trying to shut down, happiness and joy by making people not able to celebrate stuff. And it's like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how do you have... And, like, that's even worse because, like, I was saying 20 years is not long enough to get that kind of power, but they had that kind of power like 10 years ago. It's like, what? So in 10 years, they basically were able to control literally everything about how Laguna worships the Sentinel. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? And then we, like, had that side quest where it was a girl saying, oh, well, yeah, wait a minute, like, the songs that they're teaching us now are different than the old scriptures. And I'm like, no shit. It was 20 years ago. Like, why are you trying to hide... Like, who the fuck tries to hide history from people who lived during that time? Like, this is 20 years ago. They remember what fucking happened. Like, it's so fucking stupid for them to think, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Like, so it's just like, it just makes no fucking sense, right? Like, and basically, after all that stuff, I'm just like, you know what? I just can't get into this world. Because the second I start, like, theory crafting and shit, and be like, okay, so maybe this is what happened. Maybe this is what happened, this is what's going to happen. Basically, I end up being wrong all the time. Because they bring up things that either just don't make any sense. Like, they actually contradict what they previously have said. Which, obviously, you can't predict that shit, right? You can't predict... You can't, because like for theory crafters, you're basing it off the stuff you've experienced, right? You're like, okay, you assume that whatever they told you is true, and you think, okay, well, based on these things, here's what could be true, right? And then you just get completely invalidated because they either flat out deny something or retcon something that they just told you, or the events just have absolutely nothing to do with anything that happened prior. Basically, no foreshadowing. So it's just like, oh yeah, here's a... Like, Renacida, as an example, is a very good example, is that, okay, so Renacida, the first few patches, dealing with the Sentinel, you met Cartithia up in the floating city, right? You met Cantarella, all that shit. You kind of know what happened with the Black Side. Okay, that's all well and good, right? Then what happens after we fight Cartithia? We go to a completely new zone that was literally never been referenced ever, at all. Meaning a completely new set of characters, and you're just like... What? Like, so there was another island, like, city-state that was part of Renacida that, like, was literally never mentioned whatsoever? Like, how do you predict that shit, right? How do you theory craft about what's going to happen with the game when they just introduce completely new places that have been not talked about whatsoever, right? Like, Genshin provided a video before the game even released telling us all the countries we were going to visit, the names of every single... one of these 7 countries, Inazuma, Snezhnaya, all that shit. We knew the names of all of them. They showed a splash art of some of the characters, right? Like, they're just incomparable, right? And, like, when I theory craft shit, it actually happens. Because they provide you foreshadow. Like, when Doctori tried to kidnap Colomina, I totally predicted he was going to do something that was going to fuck that up. Why? Well, because... Doctor is a recurring character. We kind of know how much of an asshole he is. They had foreshadowed that he was doing something suspicious while we were fighting Rare, right? Like, so they had done all this stuff, so you could actually realistically predict that that would happen, right? So, and like this Durin thing, right? And then their events are basically just throwaway. And basically the reason why I basically stop the game is, 1, constantly contradicting story, 2, incredibly tedious events, right? Like, one of their Renacida patches had a fishing fishing minigame, which was fine. Like, I actually enjoyed that. I think the event itself was designed very well. I thought, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. But then But then they made it tedious because it's like, oh, hey, by the way, if you want to like get maximum points and be completely done with fishing, like it's so fucking RNG where it's like, yeah, to have your fishing guide be completed, you need to find the biggest and smallest fish of each type, which means you have to like fish thousands of times to have the random chance of just getting the biggest one and the smallest one and the rare variant, the variant color, so that you have so that fish is completely discovered, and then and it's like okay, sure, like, but then. And if it was just that, it wouldn't be too bad. A little annoying, but it's like it's also not required, so it's whatever. But then they also have these rare fish that appear only once, like their rare fishing hole, which only appears once a week, which also has the same similar thing where you have to catch the biggest and smallest one, and you only have one attempt at it a week. And it's just like, dude, you fucking kidding me, man. This is like, but yeah, so like that got a little tedious. But again, it's not required, so it was like, okay, whatever. So the fishing itself was relatively fun and interesting, and they had a story event around it. So it's like, okay, cool. But then they had this other one where it's like you're going into a book, basically, and you're turned into a little chibi version of yourself, and you're going through this like path, and you select your path, do events, collect items and shit that are powering up your characters as you're going through this book. And oftentimes at the end, depending on how many items you collected or choices you made before, you have one or the other path, right? But the problem is, the event itself takes a long time. The combat makes it more tedious, especially because your characters aren't like leveled like normal. Like it's not like I built my characters really well, so they're really good. It's like, nope, sorry, they're level like 5 now, and you have to fight level 10 enemies because you didn't get enough items to level them up before starting this fight. And it's just like, oh my god, that's tedious. And so like this book event was like, they even told you, it's like, yeah, it'll take you about half an hour to do this, the early one. Like, okay, half an hour is fine. And then it's like, oh, here's this other one. It takes you between 30 and 60 minutes, and there's 2 paths, right? It's like, okay, sure, I'll do the super comprehensive one. Then I'll go back and do the super sparse one. So the first one will give me the good ending, the second one will give me the bad ending. But again, that takes you 30 to 60 minutes to do all that shit for both runs. And then the next one was like, hey, here's one that takes you 60 minutes. We approximate it's going to take about 60 minutes, and there's 3 paths now, which means you have to do it 3 times. And for the most part, all of the content in it is the same, right? The only slight difference is okay, if you do the complete event, you're doing everything. So you interact with all the characters and all that shit, and you get the good ending. But for the other ones, it's like, it's just all it is not interacting with this. And the only thing that is different is at the end, when it's determining your ending, it slightly changes some of the wording, and the event slightly changes. So 95% of that run is pretty much the exact same as every other run you've done, except now you have to do it 3 times, doing it slightly differently, with a 5% difference in each run, just to get us a different ending for completion's sake. And it's like, dude, this is insanely fucking tedious. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is boring. Once you've done it once, you're like, okay, I've done it once, I don't really want to do it again. And if it's like one other ending, sure, I'll pop into it one more time, get the other ending. But it's like, no, here's 3 endings. Dude, fuck off. And that's basically the patch I stopped playing. I'm like, fuck this. Like, your previous events are just so tedious. It's like, all their events are tedious and not interesting. Because, like, again, they're not really focused on story. Most of their events are just combat or tedious activities. And no real story to tie together. And sure, Genshin has like random stuff, but like Genshin has also mini game stuff. Like we have Finchball, which is essentially pinball. So we have a little pinball mini game. We have character. Well, I mean, again, Wuthering Waves is character quests too. We have character quests. We have other world events and stuff going on. It's more interesting. They have more of a story tied to them. Hell, like Finchball at least had the same recurring character from before she had appeared, and she has a little bit of dialogue to say. Genshin, like Wuthering Waves events, is it's like, hey, go to the Sonora Sphere and just go in and it just instantly starts an event. It's like, yeah, just go to the Sonora Sphere. This is where the event is, and you just go in and start a fight. You go in, and that's all it is. No quest. It's just like, no, it's over here. Just go here. That's the portal where you can select which stage of the event you're going to do. It's so fucking tedious and boring. So it's like, yeah. So basically, besides combat, like everything else they do is worse. So I just find it crazy. You get these fucking glazers. But yeah, I mean, again, if all you care about is combat, which is basically what Soulsborne people are like, they're like, yeah, I just care about combat. Oh, combat is good? That's why, like, you get people who like combat thinking Wuthering Waves, or not Wuthering Waves, but Where Winds Meet is a good game. Same for Wuthering Waves too, really. But you think, oh, these are really good games. It's like, no, they aren't. They do one thing well, and everything else worse. But because you only care about that one thing, you don't care about all the other shit they do, and so now you think their review is bad. It's like, no, their review is perfectly on point. Like, they do one thing well and 10 things mediocre at best. But yeah, of course it's going to have a low score, because these people are reviewing the entirety of the game. You only care about this one aspect. You only do this one aspect. So yeah, no shit, you don't give a shit. But yeah, so again, and like this is a cool thing. So like Chibi Durin, who we met in the summer event, this last summer event. Well, Chibi Durin was Durin, right? It was the good part of Durin's soul. And we had previous events, you know. The first Dragonspine event kind of talked about Durin and related to Durin and his corrupting power. The second Dragonspine event brought Albedo, where we learned how he was a homunculus created by Rhindaughter, and Durin was also created by Rhindaughter. And the things on Dragonspine were being influenced by Durin's corrupting influence, you know, and we had to fight a big Whopper flower that had been mutated by Durin's power. And then we had this, where I was like, hey, we met Chibi Durin, and we're like, oh, it's Durin. You know, it's the good part of Durin's soul that was brought into the book by M. Wow, that's so cool. And then Albedo helps, and then during another Archon quest, and so it was like cool. So it related to the previous two Dragonspine events. The first Dragonspine event was year 1 of the game. I think the second one was year 2. And so it's been 3 years since those events, and now we have a summer event which you know mentions that. And then we had an Archon quest where Albedo was being tried as a criminal, where, you know, that was the event where he created Durin's body. You know, so it's like, oh wow, cool. So this relates to those two Dragonspine events, you know, and the existence of Durin and all that. And then you know, so it relates to that. And then the Archon quest relates to the summer event, as well as the Dragonspine shit. It's like, wow, you know, talking about an immersive world where things that they mentioned even years ago could have some sort of story significance, right? It's crazy, you know? Like, Wuthering Waves could never. Like, I remember when we were doing the Black Shores, during the Black Shores quest, right? We were interacting with Shorekeeper, and Shorekeeper was basically saying, hey, you could do anything. Like, you could go to any sort of location. You could go to Jinzo or Renacida or any place. And this was like the patch before Renacida came out. So the patch before Renacida came out, and they were only able to list 2 countries of the world that we could go to. And it's just like, yeah, that's how short-sighted they are. And it just makes the world feel less immersive and shitty. But anyway, that's enough of a rant. Yeah, Jesus Christ, a 30-minute long rant again? I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way when, like, I mean, it's like, yeah, it rubs me the wrong way when I'm like, man, it does suck when the game I like and I think is better, people just say another game is better. It's like, come on, man, it's not. But, you know, it's all subjective, right? I value story more than gameplay. And some people are like, nope, gameplay is everything. As long as you have gameplay, even if the story is shit or non-existent, that's all that matters. And it's like, which I think is like a little dumb. Like, on some level it's true, right? You can't have bad gameplay. But the difference between, you know, good gameplay and amazing gameplay is not really that different, right? It's not really a huge difference between that, right? Bad gameplay is just a game that's not fun to play, right? That's bad. But, you know, whereas, you know, the difference between good and great, it's like, yeah, there's not a huge difference between that. So it's just like, yeah. But people like to say, you know, it's like, oh yeah, the difference is like 10%. Like, yeah, it's 10% better. The people who like gameplay above everything else are like, yeah, well, that 10% better is the difference between a 10 in their mind and a 6. You know, it's like, oh yeah. This gameplay that's 10% better is a 10 on my book. Your gameplay, which is 10% worse, is actually a 6. It's like, no, obviously it's not. But, you know, you can't talk to people like that. People, they're the type of people who just do what they do. They just like what they like. Don't engage with any other aspect of the combat, any aspect of the other aspect of the game. And then because they never interacted with that aspect of the game. Oh, what's the other purple thing? Is that a plant? Oh no, it's just the horns of that thing. But yeah, it's just like you get these people, you're just like, come on, man, like just please. I mean, I get it, right? People are just not objective in general. Like, people don't want to objectively think about their shit, which is understandable. It's like on some level, one, either A, they aren't smart enough because there are dumb people. There are dumb people who just lack the ability to critically think. Sure, you know. But then it's just one of those things. Like, yeah, you engage with the content you do. Like, people of Final Fantasy too. Like, they shit on the game, saying, "Oh, the game has nothing to do," but while actively not participating in all the content the game has to offer. Right? It's like you get the raiders, or you get the people that only raid. And they only like raiding, and they're like, "Yeah, the game has nothing to do." It's like, well, yeah, because like the content that was added this patch is not combat related. It's like, yeah, they added cosmic exploration or did this and that. And it's fine to not like, it's fine to complain saying, man, there's nothing you want to do, but to pretend the game is bad, or that pretend the game has nothing to do, when it's like, well, no, the game has things to do, you choose not to engage in those things, and then blame the game for not having something to do, which is like, well, that's fucking stupid, you know? And I think that's kind of the biggest problem, is people are just so self-centered, that they just don't, they only think about what they want, and they think that what they want is what everyone wants. And so they're like, yeah, so they say these things as facts. Like, oh, the game needs this, the game should have this. It's like, no. If the game was like the way you wanted, the game would be far less popular. It's just a flat-out fact. You know? And it's evidenced by, like... so people think Wuthering Waves is amazing, right? And it's like, it's fine, you know, it's fine to like the game. If you like the game, you like the game. That's fine. But to pretend the game is amazing is wrong. There are a lot of huge, glaring faults with the game that its combat can't make up, and it's evidence in the money, you know. So every month, I think on the r/gotcha Reddit, they show the monthly earnings of every single game, right? Now, I think it's mostly mobile stuff, because mobile stuff can actually be tracked. And so and if it's consoles, most console manufacturers don't reveal their sales numbers. So it's mostly mobile. So that obviously is going to taint the sample size, because it's like, like maybe the games have, maybe like for some games that 100% of their market is on mobile. Like there are some gacha games that are only mobile. So it's like, okay, well, this is their entire sales figures. Whereas for other games, like Genshin, you can play on console, PC, and on mobile. So not all of Genshin's sales are going to be on mobile. Same for Honkai Star Rail, even Wuthering Waves as well. You know, so, but like, what's the ratio, right? Like, what percentage of Genshin players are on mobile? What percentage of of Wuthering Waves players are on mobile? You know, maybe Wuthering Waves has, because of its combat focus, has less players percentage of on mobile. But regardless, the fact of the matter is that, like, Honkai Star Rail and Genshin earn like 4 times, either 2 to 4 times more money per month than Wuthering Waves does. Now, it's obviously not, you know, that doesn't really mean anything, right? It's like, it doesn't really indicate whether a game is good or not. But it does indicate that either A, more people play the game, right? So if they're making an average of $20 per person, the reason why they might be making 2 to 4 times more money is because they have 2 to 4 times more players. So it indicates either A, there are more players on the game, or B, the people either it's more pay to wins, so you're more encouraged. But in fact, Wuthering Waves much more pay to win than Genshin, because Wuthering Waves introduced lots of characters that basically require other characters to be good. Like Zani came out, and Zani without Phoebe was, like 30% weaker. Like literally, it's like no matter, you have to be with Spectral Rover, and if you had Spectral Rover versus a Phoebe, Zani did 30% less damage. Like that's an insane fucking thing. So you needed 2 limited 5 stars to fucking do well with one character. If you like Zani, you pretty much have to get Phoebe, or else Zani's handicapped. Whereas Genshin doesn't really do shit like that, right? It's all about elemental affinities. And every now and then they introduce a character like Nilo and Nefer who kind of need specific team comps, same as Skirk and Escoffier, that really benefits certain team comps. But that team comp is mostly around a reaction, right? Skirk is all about freeze teams. So as long as you have a freeze team, Skirk can be with anybody. And then Escoffier really boosts freeze teams. So yeah, you could say Skirk without Escoffier is going to do worse, but realistically, any freeze team without Escoffier is going to do worse. Escoffier makes a freeze reaction actually worthwhile and do damage. So yeah, sure, you could say that's kind of level of power creep, but it's really trying to boost that team. So you could just get a Skirk and then run with any freeze team with non-limited 5 stars, if you wanted, and do decent damage. So again, it's not super power creep, but they do try to buff up certain reactions that maybe were not as heavily utilized. Oh shit. Sorry. But yeah, so it just goes to show that, like, yeah, and like this is when I say 2 to 4 times, I'm saying both Genshin and Honkai Star Rail both do 2 to 5 to 4 times. So in fact, Honkai Star Rail usually makes more money than Genshin overall. And I think Honkai Star Rail is about the same age as Wuthering Waves. Maybe I think Honkai Star Rail is like a year older or something like that. But either way, so it's like it just goes to show you that there just is more interest, more people playing, and so when you get people pretending, oh yeah, Wuthering Waves is a good game, it's like no, it's not. Like if it was a good game, more people would be playing it. They aren't. It has a dedicated audience, sure, but like the sales figures just indicate that it's just not nearly as popular a game, despite how pay to win some characters are, where you absolutely 100% need other limited 5-star characters, which presumably would encourage more spending. So either way, I think it's just a worse game overall. So, but I mean, for the stream rewards, for the player's choice, it's whatever. Obviously, Genshin and Wuthering Waves both got the player's choice simply because everyone knows that gacha games will reward their players with shit. So why didn't it win? Hard to say. Obviously, it kind of depends on how committed the community is, right? I think just a lot of Genshin players don't really pay attention to the Gamer Awards. Enough of them do to get them to the end of the nominations, but not enough to seal the deal. Plus, like, people who play Genshin also like story, so people who might have voted for Genshin could have voted for Claire Obscure because the story for that was amazing, Whereas, like, if you play Wuthering Waves, you play for the combat, and all the other Players' Choice Awards are basically story-based games. So the people who like stories might have diluted Genshin votes to go for that, whereas people who like stories wouldn't vote for Genshin for Wuthering Waves, right? So people who vote for Wuthering Waves wouldn't be distracted by games with good stories because obviously their game doesn't have a good story. So you're already attracting a clientele that won't be distracted by other choices. So yeah, hard to say. And we don't know like what the number of votes were either, so it's whatever. And it's like it's fine if they win, like it's whatever. I don't mind they won. I think it's just silly how delusional these people are, and generally a lot of people are too. Like even people, I'm like, yeah, sure. Like you generally have a fair and balanced take on gaming. I see them give incredibly biased takes. They're like, oh yeah, I've seen people say, oh yeah, Where Winds Meet is an 8 or a 9. I'm like, fuck no, it's not. No, it's a 7 at best. Really good combat does not make up for all the other problems with the game. While the graphics of the zone look good, the graphics on the character models are bad. Like, sure, you have a lot of customization with the character, but when you're actually in the world, you just look all blurry and the fidelity looks like shit. The world is big and empty, which is not fun. The story is bad. The voice acting is terrible. Like, they do so many other aspects of the game poorly. They just exist just to exist type stuff, where it's like, yeah, cool, we have fishing. Is it good? No, but, like, we have it. It's like, okay. It's just like, yeah, clearly that's not an 8 or a 9 game, 8 or a 9, something like, yeah, lots of aspects are... You have to have, like, a majority of the aspects of your game being good. So just one aspect of your game being good does not make an 8 or a 9, when all the others are subpar at best, Anyway, again, so let me stop ranting.
オイラたちこの人に呼ばれたんだ。
アリスさん？
あら、あなたにもバレちゃうなんて。M のモノマネ、本当に下手みたい。あなたと旅人を呼んだのは大事なこと。
僕の
そう、あの偉大な童話作家、アンヤマリ・アンデシュド。
Oh! Okay, so
興味を持ってくれると思った。
presumably, this is the first time we've heard her name. I don't remember if we were ever told her name as part of the book world. I don't know if they ever just... I think they just said it was M. I think for the most part, they just never really named them. And so I'm not really sure if this is if we were told during the book world. I'm pretty sure we weren't. But what is that name? So I also find it weird. So I presume, so is Mary is just a pseudonym? Like, is her name actually Anya Anders' daughter, or is it Mary her middle name? I mean, I would presume she's Snezhnaya then. Kinda. I mean, because Anya is kind of a Russian-y name. Anders' daughter is kind of more European. Definitely European. Kind of like seems more like uh seems kind of, not really Viking, but yeah, that whole section where the Vikings are. What I forget what you call the but basically like Norway, Sweden, um, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland. Those countries. I thought that collectively they have a student, they have a name, but yeah. So it seems like it's that, which I guess could be Mondstadt, kinda, because Mondstadt's supposed to be kind of like a European thing. It's definitely not Liyue, obviously. It's definitely not Inazuma or Sumeru. Those definitely have their own region. Same for Natland. Um, so the only places we have, I mean, I guess it could be she could be a native Nodcrian. I guess Nodcry is kind of as I forget if we've seen typical Nodcry names. I mean, I know it sounds more Japanese than anything, but interesting. Now we know her name. I'm curious. Now that we know her name, I'm curious if there's any reference to her in previous shit, right? Because like we have a bunch of books that we've been given, some of which I'm sure they might have even named the author, where it's like, oh, it's this book by this person. So I'm curious if they've mentioned her name before, like not like mentioned her name in relation to M, but like just mention her name, like, oh yeah, it's this book by this person, and they just offhandedly give the name, and we didn't know that that person was a mage.
こんにちは、アリス。
そんなにかしこまらないで。あなたのお母さんとは親友なんだから。物語とか魔法とか。
I'm kind of curious too if Seelies like are people of the elf ears like descendants of angels? You know, like is it like if a Seelie meets someone, falls in love, and has a child, they have elf ears? Is that how it is? And then when they have a child, then they turn into the Seelies that guide us to treasure chest and shit. Or,
そんなわけないでしょ。
so I think that's the whole. I think that's the reason why Columbina has her eyes closed, because they said like if Seelie sees someone and falls in love with them, then they turn and they lose their power or something and become a little tiny thing. I think it's something like that. I have to double check. I think it was written down somewhere in the lore somewhere. I just forget when it was referenced. Oh, actually, no. I think it was because I saw a YouTube video that was going over. I think it was before Nodcry came out. That people then created a YouTube video about the lore of like the moons and stuff like that. And I think in that video they mentioned it. I'm not sure where they got the source from though.
でも少しだけは当たってるかも。今回私が
こ れって、
ドゥリンちゃんのお母さんが。
お母さんの残した願いが
Oh, wait.
本
Oh, she's dead. Oh. Wait, what? Oh. When did she die? I don't remember that being a part of it. So maybe that's why. So there were two mages. So maybe that was that Alice? Or maybe it was, I think it was M. I think it was B. So I think it might have been N. Sure. Or maybe a portion of of M's soul was still in the world that she created. Huh. I'm curious when she lived then.
おばさんの代わりに一つ
I think I'll probably end up looking that up
作家に
after this.
小さな魔女と消えない炎っていう本は読んだことある？まあ作者は一人じゃない。もともとは私がお茶会で始めたリレー。最初の章は私、間の章は他の最終章に入れる頃には M はもうこのだから私はこう思う。作家にとって一番の心残りは未完の物語を残すこと。でも心配しないで。そのまま終わりなんて悲しすぎるでしょ。だから私、
じゃあこの本
はあなたのお母さんがくれたもう一つのこと。私がドゥリンちゃんに会いに来たのは彼女からこの心残りをあなたに託すよう言われたからよ。
これがお母さんの最大の心残り。
I mean, because if you look at the front of the book, it was Chibi Durin. So presumably it's his story.
そうとも言えるかもね。
この物語を完成させたら、
そうかもね。アリス。彼女の答えは私の見解とは教えてあげたいけど、ネタバレは絶対にできないの。全部台無しになっちゃうわ。
そうなんだ。
完成を待つ物語だと思って頑張ってくれればいいのよ。
わかった。
God, her hair looks so fucking stupid like that.
つい最近人間の文字を勉強し始めたばかりで、文章を書いた経験なんてないんだけど。
心配しないで。ほら、だから助っ人を2人連れてきてあげたんでしょ。2人とも経験豊富だからきっとたくさんアイデアを出してくれるはず。協力してくれるよう謙虚にお願いするのよ。
おう、デュリンはお母さんの願い。
アリスおばさん、
やっぱりそこが気になる？でも
心配するな。旅人とオイラってことで。
あら、M はこの本を書くときに私の魔法を使って、章は過去の思い出の中に散らばっ。
じゃあどうやって
M がヒントを残してくれてるから、ヒントをたどれば
Yeah, my guess is that because obviously Chibi Durin's on the front, I bet this is the history of Durin, which will be interesting because we don't really know much about when Rhindaughter created him. I assume he was the first creation. I assume he was the first creation that she made. Well, maybe not the first one, but maybe the biggest one that she made after being corrupted by the Abyss, and that's why he was all corrupted as well, is because she used the Abyss to basically create him, which is why he was all fucked up. And then maybe she created Albedo after she merged with the Goddess of Life, so she didn't need to use the Abyss to create life anymore. Hard to say though, because obviously we have no clue how the fuck that happened. And even when.
これも一種の物語を表現する。お母さんが残した試練だと思って。
商品は重要じゃないよ。それが
オイラたちが。
そうだ。物語が完成した。
そうだぞ。
心配しないで。それじゃあ出発。どんな
Is this Alice's badge? Or I guess presumably it's Alice's badge.
そこは 多くの物語が眠る場所。とある魔法使いはさ、
謎解きか。そこって確かに。
実は
I mean, yeah, presumably a lot of his shit was gonna be. I mean, he was smacked down onto Dragonspine, so presumably
そんな遠く
that
ま
was
で
his base of operations. And either, I mean, who knows? He could have been flying around a bunch, and only when he got to Mondstadt did Venti bitch slap him down. Oh wait. Oh, okay. So this is. I was worried because it's like, oh, we came back to another world. I'm like, wait, shit, did that actually take us back? It's like, why did you bring that up again? It feels kind of weird. Why did you? Or is it not on focus mode? I thought it was. Okay, let's stop that real quick. Oh, I see. It's. Oh, I see. So it's basically just saying, hey. Yeah, it's fine. Let me just turn this shit in. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call it now, for now. I'll be doing... Yeah, unfortunately I spent too much time ranting. I said I wasn't going to, but yeah, I ended up just seeing too much random bullshit around the Game Awards. Got me ranting again. Damn. Gotta stop. There's no point. It's meaningless. Should just not care about it. I guess the problem is it's disappointing, right? Like, it could have been good, it could have been great. I'm just sad that it wasn't what I wanted, right? It wasn't, and at the end of the day, I just stopped playing it because it ended up just being more of a chore. Like, I felt more compelled to play it than actually wanted to play it. Like, Genshin, I've never really had that problem. I mean, I was definitely more gung-ho about Genshin, and like when a new explorable region came out, like that was the first thing I did. I'm like, oh my god, new region is out. I'm gonna fucking play the shit out of this. Oh no, this is not the purchase one. I'm gonna 100% the region, and like in a few, and then within like before the weekend even showed up, I had already like 100% of it, right? And I'm like, okay. But now I'm just like, nah, I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm like, I'm not in a huge rush. And like, I'd be in a huge rush to do the story quests and stuff too. But now I'm just like, nah, it's something I'm saving for my walks. So that's what I did. Like, I did Zenless Zone Zero first. Realistically, though, I need to finish this up real quick so I can do the other events. There's like 3 events I haven't done at all, and I have 2 weeks. I have 2 weeks to do it. But basically, because Genshin and Zenless came out around the same time, both of which with big story content and events. Although the events for this one is not super crazy. Like this one I already did. So it's mostly just these 2 that I need to do. This one has a time limit. Realistically, I don't really need to do this now that I've started it. Like I have 30 days to do it, and I only need 5 days to complete it, so I should probably start doing Zenless shit, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it now. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.